Welcome to my channel. It's called Linissa. In this channel, we do a deep dive into the writings of Florence Scovel Shinn. And for this video, I wanted to talk about how she thinks of the Bible. Now, Florence quotes the Bible all the time, but it's important to recognize that she's very different. She actually doesn't seem to have belonged to any church. She's not into mainstream Christianity. She could have joined the Unity Church, but she didn't do what was required to become like a teacher there. I saw that on the Unity website. She was very independent, and so she has a very independent view of the Bible. Now, a lot of us were raised with the Bible, and we have all these bad memories about having to read it and what it said and how we were taught it and how we were taught to understand it, to the point where people don't pick up the Bible, don't open it, or if they do, they get chills, or if they do, they get nervous or they get anxious, and it just really makes them incredibly upset. Like, this is a document that has justified the worst of humanity, that has justified subjugation and subordination and violence and whatever. And just people have such a tough time with it. But if you read Florence Scovel Shinn, you will find that she quotes the Bible all the time. Every 2 sentences is a quote from the Bible. Every reference is a quote to the Bible. And so you really have to make peace with the Bible. You really have to want to encounter the Bible if you're going to study Florence. But keep in mind, she's like no Christian you've ever met. She's very different. She's very independent, and she has her own take on it. And so she does a complete rereading to see the Bible as like an esoteric story about how to kind of bring your heaven down to your earth. The first thing I note is that Florence actually sees the Bible as just this big allegory. She says in The Game of Life and How to Play It that the Bible is a book dealing with the science of the mind. It's a book telling man how to release his subconscious mind from bondage. Now, Florence says that the mind is composed of 3 levels: the superconscious mind, the conscious mind, and the subconscious mind. The conscious mind has all the fear, doubt, worry, anxiety, panic. It's very destructive. And the superconscious mind has all the love, joy, peace, wishes you the very best. It's when you're in the superconscious mind, you believe the very best. And the subconscious mind has all the power, but no opinions. So whatever starts to impress it, whether it's the superconscious mind or the conscious mind, it will accept it and start to work. It has the power to make anything happen. And so what Florence is saying is that each Bible story is about the science of the mind. So understand what characters represent the carnal mind, the conscious mind, and what characters represent the superconscious mind, and what characters represent the subconscious mind. And then you decide, how does that story show how to free the subconscious mind from the destructive, harmful ways of the conscious mind, and how to bring it to the superconscious mind. So every Bible story is given its perspective on that. She goes on to say, the battles described in the Bible are pictures of man waging war against his mortal thoughts. So every man is a Jehoshaphat and every man is a David. So when it comes to David, it was David and the Goliath. So you have David representing the superconscious mind and Goliath representing the carnal mind, the conscious mind. And there's that fight. And you're reading that story to see how the superconscious mind, through David, overcame the Goliath of the conscious mind. And then the story of Jehoshaphat, it's the same thing. Understand which characters represent the destruction of the conscious mind and which characters represent the hope of the superconscious mind. And then that story shows you another way of how you can free the subconscious mind and have the superconscious mind reign supreme. So with Florence, you get a chance to think of the Bible as just one big allegory, of each story being allegorical, each story being representing something much deeper, and it's about the science of the mind. Florence also says that all biblical stories have a metaphysical interpretation. So, the walls of Jericho, that's a story about how to bring down the walls of Jericho. To her, we all have walls of Jericho. Jericho represents the part of us that has our success. It's the promised land. It has everything we hope and dream of, but there are walls around it. And we need to learn how to tear down that wall, how to have the walls come down. So as you read the story of Jericho, we are not just reading about the Hebrews and the Israelites and all that stuff. We're reading about the metaphysical structure of what we're dealing with. And there are walls separating us from success. That we have a wall of Jericho. Nearly everyone has built around their treasure a wall of Jericho. And it's the city we're not able to enter. And you have to figure out, like, what kind of walls have you built up? And for her, it's the wall of resentment. And then figuring out how to tear down that wall, how to get the walls to fall. So you learn from the stories, because each story is teaching you a metaphysical lesson about how to get to your success, about how to overcome all of your limitations, and how to overcome the barriers you have set up so that you can reach your promised land and you can reach your success. And it's what do you think? It's a very beautiful interpretation. And I also noticed that Florence says about Jesus that Christ was both a person and a principle. So if when I read this early on, I actually thought, from my point of view, Christ is not a person, it's a principle. And it's not about the person of Christ, it's about the principle that he stands for. And the same thing with the Lord. The Lord, Florence says that the Lord refers to the law of giving and receiving. When you understand that, that's all that it's about, then it kind of makes a lot of sense to you. So when it comes to Florence, she is quoting the Bible all the time, but she has a completely independent, esoteric understanding of it. Also notice that she'll take a verse, a sentence by itself, and run with it. She won't sit around and contemplate the whole chapter or 10 verses. She will just take one really good verse and go with it. For example, she says, I think it's in Isaiah, concerning the works of my hands, you command me. There's actually much more to that verse, much, much more. But she doesn't care. She figures out what she wants out of it and works with it. She also says, sometimes when she quotes the Bible, from her point of view, she's not quoting it in context. She's taking the verses that she wants and identifies as powerful, and she's bringing it to us. Because maybe we get lost and bogged down by the other verses around it, and we miss how important this is. For example, prove me now, God said, and prove me now, and I will just open the windows and pour out blessings to you. Florence quotes that, but the verse in context is bigger and somewhat different. So I think that's another technique Florence uses. She doesn't let the full context of the verse stop her from understanding the power of that one sentence and what it means. And she has that independence to understand that. So yeah, if you are reading Florence, you're going to encounter the Bible so much. But Florence is good. She takes us on a rereading of the Bible to see it as an incredible, powerful document that will help us to understand how to succeed. And she, I think, does a good job of it. I think she does a really good job of bringing us to the Bible in a way that is super supportive and just makes us understand how we can use it to do great things, as opposed to using it to scare us and hurt us and make us feel uncomfortable. She uses it to bring out its power and its glory. So for this channel, that's all I do, a deep dive into the works of Florence Scovel Shinn. Florence was actually a metaphysical teacher who worked 100 years ago, and her ideas are as powerful and as legendary as ever. So if you like that, please subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, let me know, and give it a thumbs up. And you can also leave a comment. I see every video and every comment on every video, so I'll notice and I will reply to you. So if you want to talk to me, if you want to let me know what you think, please go ahead. And as I say at the end of every video, thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time.